Today I'm going to be reviewing the Noble Audio Sultan, a tri-brid in-ear monitor that comes in at around $2,900. Now, I've been following Noble Audio for quite a few years. As a matter of fact, I owned the Noble Django, which was a 6-balanced armature IEM. We've talked about fun tuning before in previous reviews, and from what I had heard about the Noble Sultan, it had that fun tuning. But when I finally got a chance to listen to these, I was completely blown away. These things take fun tuning to a whole new level. This is Audio In Reviews. So before we go into the specifications, design, and sound of the Noble Sultan, I wanted to do a quick unboxing. This kit was supplied by Audio Tiers, and so I'm not sure if this is exactly how the unboxing would be. I kind of put it together best as I could, just kind of guessing as how the presentation might be. I imagine it's pretty close. And the reason I wanted to do that is because the unboxing is just so impressive. As soon as you open up the package and you see this case, you know that whatever is inside this case is well protected and important. And that's the impression that you get right off the bat. And it just really impressed me. Normally when you're opening up even a lot of these higher end in-ear monitors, the case is just okay. So when I saw that Noble supplied this Hanek 903 case as part of the package, I thought that was very, very cool. Now, Hanek is actually a company out of Quebec, Canada. This case, the 903 case, is based on the information I found on their website. It's waterproof, dustproof, shockproof. The clamps on the side are also pretty cool the way this mechanism works here. You have a little switch you press on and then it pops up, and you've got one of those on either side of the case, and so you know that when they're locked, they're not going to come, it's not going to come unlatched unless you depress the switch. So immediately, of course, when you open up the case, you are greeted with the beautiful IEMs, and just take a look at that presentation. That is really sweet. I love that. You've got this padding here that has these custom cutouts that are just really, the padding they use, the cuts are clean. This is very high quality, dense padding that they have these in. The cutouts are clean. And then it has this eggshell padding on the top here also, so you know that when this is closed, these IEMs and the case is not going to move around. And again, it's just very well protected. So let's go ahead and take this case out, and this is a very cool black, I'm assuming leather case, and it's got like a velvet type lining on the inside. Let's take this out, we'll set the case aside, and let's see what's inside here. We've got two rubber bands with the Noble name printed on it. We also have an assortment of tips. We've got 3 different types. We have a black silicone, black foam, and a light gray foam. All 3 of these are available in small, medium, and large, and also a cleaning tool. It also includes this velvet bag. There is an extra cable. This cable is identical to the one that is already on the IEM. So I don't think you get 2 if you purchase. I think this cable was supplied as maybe an extra as part of the tour, because this cable is exactly the same. It's a 3.5, just like the cable that's already on here. But this is the cable that you will be getting with the IEM, and I'll be going over this cable here when we go over the specifications. And again, going back to the IEMs, the presentation on this is just perfect, I think. again, what I want to see if I'm spending that amount of money on an in-ear monitor is I want to know that my stuff is protected, and this case really does show that Noble took that into consideration. So I think that is really, really cool. So we'll go ahead and take these IEMs out, and we'll just show these to you real quick before we move on to our next segment. So anyways, just think this is a really, really cool presentation. And again, it just has that high-end kind of feel to it. So all right, let's move on to the specifications of the Noble Sultan. Okay, let's talk about the specifications, build, design, comfort, and isolation of the Noble Sultan. These are a tribrid IEM, so they've got 3 different types of drivers, 7 drivers total. The base driver is a 10 millimeter dynamic driver. That covers all of the lows. Then you have 4 balanced armature drivers for the mids, and then 2 ultra frequency electrostatic tweeters for the highs. The housing is made from CNC'd aluminum, and as you can see, it incorporates a beautiful handcrafted acrylic faceplate. And the cable has a 2-pin connection for the IEM, and also has, and this is a metal 2-pin connector. Then it also has a metal 3.5. The cable itself is an 8-core OCC copper cable. They do have options for other terminals. You can get 2.5 balanced and also the 4.4 balanced if you'd like. And as far as the design of the Noble Sultan, I love the color scheme that they have, with the housing having the black on the inside, the silver, and then the brown faceplate. And the faceplate is, again, handcrafted acrylic, and just absolutely beautiful when you hold it in the light just right. It just has a depth, and the different tones of the dark browns and golds inside the faceplate is just simply gorgeous. Absolutely love it. And then the housing itself, it has ridges that follow the edge of the housing all the way around, and the ribs extend into near the base of the nozzle here. So and then also right here you have the Noble emblem. If you hold it in the light just right, you can see the emblem right here. So the overall just the build quality and the design of these is just gorgeous, and the build quality of the cable is nice also. They've got, again, the gunmetal gray metal connectors, the 2-pin connectors with the gunmetal gray 3.5 terminal. You have a really, again, along with the rest of the gunmetal, you have a gunmetal splitter, and then a chin slider that has the Noble symbol on it. So now, as far as comfort, these are very comfortable for me. I was using the stock medium tips that came with these for most of my listening sessions, and I had no issues at all with comfort or fit. And I've learned that the medium tips generally are, for almost any IEM, are what works best for me, and so I put those on and put them in my ears, and they were perfect from the second I put them in my ears. The comfort of these is excellent, and they're light, so they don't weigh on your ears at all. They have a nice long nozzle, so they go into your ears quite deeply. As far as the isolation on these is also excellent. I mean, these blocked out noise very, very well in my house. As usual, when I'm doing a lot of my listening sessions, I'll sit over by the fireplace, and it's kind of an open floor plan, so my family is just right around the corner watching TV, having conversations. They're not loud, but you can definitely hear them. And if a IEM that I'm trying doesn't have very good isolation, sometimes I can hear their conversation or the TV kind of bleeding through. I did not have that issue with these at all. When I got my music up to my desired the volume level, I didn't even know they were there. I was completely lost in my listening experience, and just had a absolutely wonderful time, even longer listening sessions. No discomfort or noise bleed through at all. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the sound of the Noble Sultan. So let's talk about the sound of the Noble Sultan. We'll talk about the overall sound signature, then we'll talk about the details of the treble, the mids, bass and sub-bass, sound stage, and imaging. Now, again, we talked about that fun tuning that the Sultan has, and one of the things that a company has to be careful of when they go that fun tuning route is not recessing the mids too much, because what that can do is push instruments and vocals a little too far away from you. So you got to be kind of careful with that. You can also lose technicalities. So again, with the fun tuning of the Sultan, I kind of knew that Noble had done this before, so they're not new to the fun tuning game. So I thought if anyone can do it right, Noble can. And I was correct. They did a very good job with the tuning of the Sultan. The bass, even though it's elevated, it's very tastefully elevated, has really good extension. Again, you do have those recessed mids. I think it bottoms out right at about 800 hertz, and then it starts to go up, and then you have a bump in the upper mids around 2,500 hertz, I believe. So, and then of course you have the elevated treble, slightly elevated, again, very tastefully done. So the overall, even though they have an overall fun tuning, they didn't recess the mids too much. The vocals are very present. Instruments are very present. They're not too far away, and they were able to maintain really, really good technicalities with the Sultan. So other things I look for are timbre issues. How natural do vocals sound? How good is the timbre of an instrument? With a tribrid approach, sometimes it can be difficult achieving good coherency between the three different types of drivers. Between the electrostat, the BA driver, and the dynamic driver in the Sultan, the coherency was excellent. As far as instruments and voices sounded natural, and the instruments had excellent timbre. Okay, so let's talk about the treble in a little more detail now. So the treble presentation of the Sultan is a little more laid back, slightly relaxed, but they were still able to maintain really, really good detail and clarity. Again, one of the things I've talked about in other reviews is my one of my go-to recordings I listen to for cymbal, for how accurate a cymbal sounds, is Jazz at the Pawn Shop. And in that recording, you can hear the wood of the stick whenever the drummer is doing his cymbal accents, not just the cymbal, you can hear the actual wood in the stick. So I thought that was really, really cool, because if you are at a live concert, those are the kinds of things you're going to hear, especially if you're close to the stage. You're going to hear a lot more than what you would hear on the recording, because you're there, you're present. You're going to hear whenever the guy on the piano scoots his piano bench. You're going to hear the squeaky foot pedal, the kick pedal on the drum set. And this recording has all that. So it's a good reference for me anyway. And again, for cymbal accuracy. So again, going back to the cymbals, whenever the drummer is doing his cymbal accents, when he strikes the cymbal, it's recorded so well, you can hear the vibration, the frequencies traveling through the metal of the cymbal. So when he strikes the ride, it has certain layers and frequencies to it. The same thing with his crash, his hi-hat. So you can hear all of those nuances, all of those details, and you can almost tell the thickness of the metal of the cymbals when he's striking them. And so that was, again, that's one of the things I look for. If I can hear all that, then that satisfies me. That's really, really cool if an IEM can pull all those details out. And the Noble Sultan did a very, very good job with that. Now, as far as the sound stage, these have about average sound stage, maybe I would even say bordering on kind of intimate. Now, as far as the instrument placement and imaging, these things are pinpoint accurate. You can pinpoint right where those instruments are. So the instrument placement and sound stage are very good on these also. So moving from the treble into the mids, again, we talked about the V-shaped tuning, and you kind of have to be careful with how far you recess those mids, because what that can do is push vocals and instruments away from you, and sometimes too far away from you. But again, Noble knows how to do fun tuning and do it well, because they were able to achieve a good, fun tuning, but without sacrificing the mids at all. The vocals are still close enough, instruments are still very present. So they achieved that. They did a really, really good job making sure that they didn't lose instrument presence and vocal presence. And as far as, again, you got those 4 balanced armature drivers that are handling all those mid frequencies. And we talked about coherency and also timbre. With BA, sometimes you can have timbre issues, but I didn't notice any timbre issues at all. Instruments sounded very natural, voices sounded very smooth and natural as well. So those 4 BAs are doing a very, very good job handling the mid frequencies of the Sultan. Okay, so we've talked about the overall sound signature and tuning. We talked about the treble. We talked about the mids. But let's face it, whenever someone refers to a fun tuning, they're not talking about the mids and the treble, they're talking about the bass. So now let's talk about the fun stuff. At the beginning of the video, I talked about how Noble takes fun tuning to a whole other level. Well, that was exactly my experience with this, again, because like I said, it wasn't what I expected. I expected there to be a good amount of bass, but man, again, the way this dynamic driver handles the bass is just impressive. Really, really good texture, layering, and detail, really good extension, and the way they handle the transition from the BA drivers to the bass is done really, really well also. Again, going back to that coherency. So the bass on these is beyond impressive, and I would even go as far as saying probably one of my favorite bass IEMs for sure in the tour, maybe ever. So the bass really, really impressed me on the Sultan. Now, one last thing I want to talk about before we close this out is the again, talking about the imaging, the holographic capabilities of this IEM. There's a song that I use in testing by Mr. Jukes. It's called Maiden Voyage. It's off of the Blue Note Reimagined album. And in that song, it starts out with drums and the bass players going, kind of doing this octave thing where he goes from a high bass note all the way down to the lower octave of that same note, and that bass is really, really deep. So right at the beginning, you can really hear what this thing is capable of, because all that layering and texture and that deep sounding bass is really, really well represented with the 10mm driver in these. And then as the song progresses, it layers in keyboards, male kind of a choir vocal, then a female vocal kind of choir sound. Then it layers in, again, it goes into a keyboard solo, then it goes back into the male vocal choirs, female vocal choirs, and then it layers in a whole trumpet section. So as the song progresses, it gets more complex. And the one thing about this song is the holographic. If you want to test holographic capabilities, that's a good song to use for testing how well or how well an IEM handles holographics. When I was listening to the MMR Thummim, that was one of the things that impressed me about that was its holographic capabilities, and I noticed that on that song. So, and I had heard that the Noble Sultan did holographics pretty well, so I couldn't wait to get my hands on these so I could listen to that song and kind of compare this to the Thummim. There's not a whole lot of IEMs that can handle the holographic thing, you know, and again, the Sultan does that very, very well. So again, when I look back at the overall package that you get for $2,900, the awesome case, that is going to protect your investment very, very well, the excellent cable, the overall design, the excellent build quality, again, the fun tuning, the awesome bass. If you're going to be looking at an IEM in that price range, I would definitely recommend the Noble Sultan. I think they did just a phenomenal job. Again, and as far as bass goes, probably one of my favorite bass IEMs. So Noble Audio, wow, awesome job. And again, I want to say thank you to Bill from Audio Tears for allowing me to participate in this. I've had a blast participating in these tours, and I'm so glad that I had a chance to experience the Noble Sultan. So for all of my viewers, subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing and watching my videos. Please share, like, and if you're a new viewer, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and have a wonderful holiday season.